Hello, Andrew Colsky from anxietyenders.com and stopmyocd.com. And we're here with another podcast episode. Today, I am excited to introduce Zachary Simon. Zachary is a PsyD doctoral student, and he also is currently working as a therapist while he's working to earn his degree. So, Zachary, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, thank you. So again, my name is Zach. I am a doctoral student in the Bay Area. I also, on the side, work as a therapist in Oakland. And then also, I facilitate a group of those who've been formerly incarcerated. And this group is geared towards helping those learn about what got them incarcerated in the first place, and equipping them and transforming them in their efforts to reintegrate into society and to become successful.
Fantastic, fantastic. There's a lot of interesting and good information in there because you and I have had a chance to speak a little bit in the past, and you were sharing with me about the three-headed dragon, which I'm not going to say anything more about. I'm going to leave that as a teaser for people. But before we get into detail about those types of things, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you decide to get into the field dealing with psychology, mental health, counseling?
Yes, I love that question. I started to get into the field of mental health and psychology way back in high school. I actually had a good friend in high school. His name is Floyd. And in high school, we would break dance. And Freud and I became really good friends. And when he went off to college, I sort of went to the same college and he was taking psychology courses.
Mhm.
And so what we would do is we would break dance, and Floyd and I would also talk about the field of psychology. And this got me super inspired to not only continue to break dance, but also to be in the field of mental health. Now, when I went off to college, I really enjoyed, uh, my exploration of breakdancing. And so after graduating, I pursued the field of clinical psychology and continued to breakdance. And it wasn't until I started grad school, I got this advice, this tip from a professor that I should not breakdance and be a therapist at the same time.
Mm.
And this discouraged me uh, in my efforts to blend my identity as a breakdancer, a b-boy, and being a therapist. And for a long time, I felt like I had to separate the two. I felt uncomfortable. I felt sort of distancing inwardly within myself. And so I've had to learn how to integrate myself as a breakdancer and therapist. And through integrating myself as a breakdancer and therapist, I've learned to really enjoy this field. I've learned to really connect with folks, and I've learned how healing it is to connect with folks, connect with my clients through the art of breakdancing.
Yeah. It's when you told me that, it really like struck a nerve for me or something. It's like I don't understand because, to me, when I'm working with the client is the whole person. I'm not working with just a
Yeah,
piece of the client who came to therapy. Their whole life
yeah,
matters. It's all related to everything they do. So as a therapist, how can I be just a piece of me coming into the room? I'm not. I'm the whole me coming into the room.
mhm.
And you know, having the ability to break dance, which I'm envious because I could never be able to do that well. Um, that's you. And if it's something that brings out the real you and it's something that other people can connect with,
Yeah,
or you think better, more power to you. I think your professor was absolutely wrong.
I agree. And what's strange is, as therapists, we learn that we want our clients to show up as their full and unique self.
Yeah.
And I think it's ironic how that same professor did not want me as a therapist to show up as my unique self. And, over the course of being a doctoral student, I've learned that clients also appreciate when their therapist is their full and unique self.
Hmm.
Um, so it became beneficial for me to learn how to integrate my full self as a b-boy and therapist.
Hmm. So that begs the question then, do you use breakdancing as part of therapy somehow, or is it just for you to build your own response to therapy?
I enjoy that question. I definitely see how breakdancing is synonymous with the relationship between a therapist and a client, right? A b-boy has to be attuned to the beat, has to have a relationship with the DJ or the MC. I have to, as a b-boy, to be able to attune to the flow of the music, be able to understand my capacity, my skill set in attuning to the beat in a way that is creative, in a way that is unique, in a way that tells a story, that has style and flair, in a way that is responsive to the beat. And I see that same thing in the therapy room,
Hmm.
right? When a client and a therapist continue to meet, continue to discuss the unique challenges of each client, what happens is there's sort of a unique communication, a unique dialogue that happens between, a client and a therapist, where the therapist must attune to the unique, felt experiences in the room. And in doing so, the therapist best allows the client to heal.
Hmm.
And so, how I do that in the therapy room is I'm engaged with each client that I see, right? I am empathetic, I'm attuned, I'm understanding, I'm going with the flow and being able to maintain the frame that we are engaging in.
Hmm. Wow. That's
I know I said a lot.
Oh no, that's really unique. It's nice to hear, and that's I think that's sort of part of this podcast is that the I whether I'm speaking to a therapist, whether I'm speaking to a client, whether I'm speaking to a student, it lets people learn about the real person behind the title. And
Mm,
every person out there, every person with a title, even your professor with a title as a professor, there's still the
yeah,
rest of the person behind there. It's kind of funny.
yeah.
Where I was in, I think I was in elementary school, and I went to the grocery
Mhm.
store with my mom, and we ran into my teacher, and I was just completely like shocked. It's like I never pictured my teacher as a real person who bought groceries.
Yeah,
And my teacher was someone who just was there at school. That's where she lived. That's what she did. She stayed in the classroom. And it
yeah,
was, wait, she's real? So I just think of that like the whole person. Wow.
yeah.
So so as you are working with clients now,
Mhm.
there a particular uh, set of issues that you work on? I know you mentioned there's this group that you work with, which we'll talk about in a minute, but tell me about
Uh-huh.
individual clients.
Yeah, with my individual clients, I also see those who've been formerly incarcerated. Also, my caseload consists of those who have either psychotic disorders or mild or moderate depression. And so I'm still able to show up as my authentic self when I meet those folks, and I enjoy it.
Hmm. Wow. No. Um, so how long do you have before you graduate with your doctorate?
Too long, too long. I feel like I get that question a lot. Like it's almost a never-ending journey of getting my doctorate. Currently, still in the process of completing dissertation. My dissertation is focused on Black fathers,
Hmm.
and exploring anxiety and trauma of Black fathers. And so I'm still finishing that, but it still feels like I have years to go in getting my doctorate.
Well, for those people watching the podcast who may not know, if you went straight through your PsyD, it's 6 years at the fastest, right?
Yeah,
So, there's a lot of work that someone like yourself has to go through to get to that final degree, but that's what makes you good
yeah,
at what you do. So,
yeah.
so tell us about this group that you work with, and we left the teaser before about the three-headed dragon. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so alongside my work individually in therapy, I facilitate a group of Black folks in a program called Dragon Slayer. Now, Dragon Slayer, represents the three-headed dragons that led many people to be incarcerated in the first place. And so the three-headed dragon uh, is anxiety, depression, and anger. And so in this program, we explore those three things. And, this is a unique program tailored with three different approaches to slaying the three-headed dragon. And so the first stage is decomposition, right? So being able to sit in the feelings of depression, anxiety, and anger, right? What are the narratives uh, told about Black people? What are the responses and the societal impact of Black folks that are incarcerated? And so that is just the first stage. The second stage is germination, right? After sitting with it, can we sit with the process of reclaiming, restoring, and recovering health and wellness? Can we restore, reclaim, and be with the process of overcoming being impacted by the incarceration system?
Mhm.
And so, last stage, the last dragon to slay, revolves around transformation, right? In the transformation stage, we focus on what does it look like to overcome the dragon, right? How do we pursue success and wellness and development? And so this is a headed dragon that we need to play. And so this is what I enjoy by facilitating this program.
Wow. So the program sounds like you've got the group therapy going on, and then I think you said some of those folks also do individual therapy with you. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So so when someone starts off in this
Mhm.
program, is there sort of an average amount of time that you find people are spending before they go from sort of beginning to end?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in this program, we meet once every Saturday, and every Saturday, we are in the process of slaying the three-headed dragon. And in that process, we've devoted about 12 sessions. And so the 12 sessions are broken down into those three stages: the germination stage, the decomposition stage, and the transformation stage.
Mhm. And so is it like a whole group of people starts at the same time and finishes at the same time, or is it rolling admission?
Uh-huh.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So everyone starts at the same time, at the decomposition phase. And during this time, we are watching videos, reading, and being exposed to audio related to the negative narratives about Black folks who are incarcerated. And in doing so, it exposes them to the factors that led them to be incarcerated in the first place. And so we do that sort of same thing, with the germination stage and the transformation stage.
Hmm. So, so the people that are in the program, how do they find out about it? How do they find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, we are connected to local groups in the Bay Area, those who are um, have incoming folks, who incarcerated and are seeking a job or are seeking some sort of resource to get them back on their feet, to equip them to be reintegrated, or a resource related to health and wellness. So we reach out to these programs in the Bay Area, hoping to recruit those who would like to go through this process of slaying the three-headed dragon.
So now, is this a program that you developed yourself, or is this something that other therapists also are engaged with?
I I love this question a lot. Unfortunately, I did not develop this, but this developed by a good friend, and a long-term professor that I had in college. So in college, I met a guy named Dr. Tony Jackson, and he was my psychology professor. And long story short, I went off to grad school. He continued to further develop this program, and he reached out to me as someone who might be a good fit to facilitate this program. And I love how he reached out to me, because him and I, had spoken about working with Black folks, being able to have a program tailored towards Black folks. In fact, in college, I was the president of the BSU, and Dr. Tony Jackson, was a mentor to me in college. So him and I would speak a lot about working with Black folks. And so now that he's co-facilitated this program, and has reached out to me, I feel honored and privileged to be able to, continue the work.
Hmm. Wow. So are there people in other states that he's working with as well, or is it just this one program that the two of you are doing?
We hope to, but for now, we just primarily focus on the Bay Area.
Got it. Got it. Out of curiosity, did you grow up in the Bay Area?
I did. I did. So I actually was born in Queens, New York, but raised mostly in the Bay Area. And most of my childhood memories are from the Bay Area.
Wow. It's beautiful there. It's nowadays obviously so expensive that you can't get in anymore, but it's beautiful.
It
Wow.
is expensive.
So, here's another question for you.
Mhm.
I find that, in my practice, one of the things that I've learned is certainly it's crucial to be culturally aware and culturally sensitive of all the different cultures. So, for example, I may work with clients who are Indian Americans, meaning coming over from India, not native,
Mhm.
um, or other things. And it's important to understand their culture because it's relevant to how they have been raised and how they
Yeah.
react. Um, is there a particular set of cultural guidelines for the way that the African American community sees therapy that would be instructive for listeners to know about?
Mm, that's such a deep and intentional question. I really hope the listeners, really sit with the historical narratives, about Black folks. And this is related to the Dragon Slayer process, where we sit with the cartoons, where we sit with the images, where we sit with the songs related to uh, how our society views Black folks.
Hmm.
And so I think it's really important for the listeners to, at the very least, be thoughtful, be authentic about what it is like to process and sit with the narratives that have been built historically.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I learned, and I don't even know where I learned it, but I picked it up along the
Yeah,
way, was, obviously I know my own upbringing, but there's
right.
no way that I'm going to know every one of my clients or any of my clients' upbringing. And there's nothing wrong with asking them, tell me about yourself.
Yeah,
Tell me, are there cultural differences that you want me to be aware of or that I can learn about? Because that makes me a better counselor when I understand what
right.
you're feeling inside, what you're reacting to, that I maybe don't have a reference point to be able to do that. So I think a lot of people are afraid to ask their clients to tell
Mhm.
more about that. But I think it's important that they feel comfortable to develop that relationship where
Yeah,
they are able to share with each other.
right. I'll add this. I really hope folks engage in the culture, the Black culture, the African culture, and really sit with where do these narratives come from? How do we unpack them? And how do they relate today to the everyday person exposed and impacted by the negative narratives of Black folks? It is so crucial to be able to sit with how things have transpired historically and how it impacts us today.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. Well, this is such a great conversation, and you're doing such great work because you're focusing on an area that sounds so interesting with this three-headed dragon,
Yeah.
concept that you're following through. How how many people typically would be in a group at a time?
Well, we typically have, I want to say, 12 folks. And funny enough, we actually just finished our 12th session.
Oh,
So we're thinking about starting up another round of the Dragon Slayer process and recruiting more folks that are interested.
hmm, wow, very interesting. So, I have to ask another question about the breakdancing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
please do.
have you ever, as a result of the work that you are doing with any particular client, have any of them
Mhm.
gotten turned on to breakdancing as sort of their own way of therapy?
Mm. I, I have had a client who's tried to breakdance with me in a therapy session, and that was pretty cool. Um, but I wouldn't say someone has left inspired to pursue a hobby in breakdancing.
Really? Because you hear about equine therapy and you hear about music therapy and
Mhm.
about all these different types of therapy.
Uh,
Why not breakdance therapy? If it's something that connects with the person and helps
yeah,
them through whatever the issue is that they're working through, why not?
Yeah. I will say this, for most of the clients that I work with, they feel inspired to be attuned to the body. As we explore, how does their emotions and thoughts transpire in the body, right? I tend to ask them, where in the body do you feel that emotion? And so being able to utilize that in therapy has been so wonderful. Being able to take awareness of it is a tool that most of my clients, take away from therapy with
Hmm. Wow. Wow. You sound like you'd be a pretty interesting therapist to work with, just because you have an open mind, and you're very client focused, and I like that.
me.
So so tell us this: if somebody is listening to this video and they
Mhm.
get in touch with you, maybe they have some questions for you, maybe they want to work with you, how would someone find you?
Oh, I love this question. You could definitely find me on LinkedIn at Zachary Simon, which is just my full name. I post a lot of my content related to breakdancing and therapy and mental health. You can also check out my catalog of breakdance videos on Instagram at Daniels, that's DANIELZ Zach, ZACK.
Great, great, wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me and to share such wonderful information. I was so excited to hear about it and to learn more about it. And it was
Uh-huh.
great to actually speak with you in person and learn about this. So thank you for taking your time, and thank you for sharing all this with the audience.
I thank you. I really enjoy the dialogue. And I think what you're doing is so wonderful because it's really challenging and exposing folks of the dialogue that's needed in the field of mental health.
Yeah. Well, that's the goal, is the more that we can put information out there, the more we break the stigma. And that's the
Yeah.
ultimate goal, is there shouldn't be any stigma around mental health. Just like if you break your arm,
Mhm.
sometimes there's mental health issues that we can improve also. So
Yeah.
great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time again, and it was wonderful meeting you.
Yes. Thank you as well.
Mhm.